Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the breakout session titled The Toastmasters Virtual Silver Lining. Our speaker for today is Norm Thibodeau, who is known to many of us for his prolific District 53 activities. In his 20-plus years in Toastmasters, Norm has served many clubs in every officer role, served as an area governor twice, division governor, district secretary, and several other appointed district support roles. Currently, in addition to being VPE of two of his clubs and president of the third, Norm has served for the past 2 years as our district administration manager, has been in the persistent role of district registration manager since 2016. As part of his Pathways Networking and Public Relations Strategies project, Norm found a silver lining to the COVID pandemic cloud. He has taken this on the road, presenting it to a score of Toastmasters clubs around the country, and will be sharing it with us today. Please join me in welcoming Norm Thibodeau to tell us about the Toastmasters Virtual Silver Lining. Norm.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for the applause, everybody. Virtual applause. So, fellow Toastmasters, are you bummed out by the current COVID pandemic situation? I know I am. Who would have thought? 14 months ago that here, after more than a year, we're still struggling with this virus and how to respond to it socially, economically, professionally, so on and so forth. It's been a real mess. And as you know, as Toastmasters, we're not immune to this. We've been impacted in a lot of different ways. As you can see, our conference this year is virtual. Last year, we canceled the conference entirely because we couldn't react quickly enough to change over from a planned in-person conference to a virtual conference. One of the things that we feel as a loss as Toastmasters is we always like to get together in person. We enjoy the camaraderie, just esprit de corps, just being able to meet with our fellow Toastmasters in a friendly and a warm environment at our club meetings. But COVID has changed all of that. It's impacted, again, every area of our lives, and we find now that the only way that we can meet as Toastmasters currently is virtually. Unfortunately, as I'm sure you're probably aware, this has also impacted Toastmasters as a business. We've lost a lot of members. The estimates I've seen are somewhere in the neighborhood of 18 to 22% of our members have left Toastmasters, and we've lost a lot of clubs. In our district alone, we've dropped from about 139 clubs to 106. The clubs that were in good standing as of the business meeting last weekend. That's a pretty dramatic change. And as you're probably aware, we've had to take some dramatic steps to react to that, such as redistricting our district, reorganizing our district down to just 5 divisions instead of 7. So lots of impact. But it's not all bad news. One of the things that we do as Toastmasters is we have learned how to turn adversity into opportunity. And you heard Johnny Campbell talking all about that during this morning's keynote address. So one of the things that I'd like to start us off with is I'm sorry, I'm looking at the chat. And are you folks hearing me okay? Somebody give me a thumbs up, because I'm seeing some stuff in chat that maybe you can't hear me. Okay, great. Thanks. I appreciate that. I know that we had some technical difficulties during Johnny's keynote, so I wanted to make sure that we're not having them here. So again, one of the things that we do as Toastmasters is we turn adversity into opportunity. So at this point, what I'd like to do is open it up to you folks and drop some ideas in chat as to what things you think have been perhaps opportunities during this COVID quarantine that we're all under, not being able to meet in person. just drop something in chat. Learning how to deliver online speeches. Practice facilitating online meetings. Making every club global. Lots of cool ideas here. If I miss yours, I apologize. There's many coming in. No snow days, missed meetings. Different skill set, online versus in person. Learning how to get online engagement from attendees. Lots of good ideas here. After the meeting, I will try to collect all of these up, and I will add them to the PowerPoint, which will be up in the handouts folder for all of you folks. There's a couple of these that we will focus on during today's meeting. All great ideas. One of the things that has impacted me and my family most about the pandemic situation is the restriction on travel. So let's put here no travel. Because with virtual meetings, you don't have to travel. Now, if you're a community club, one of the advantages of being online is that your members don't have to go get in their car after dinner and drive out to your senior center or your church or school or wherever it is that you're meeting to meet. They can just pop into the den or put the laptop on their lap in front of the ball game and join your meeting virtually. So travel time has been virtually eliminated with our current online situation, which is kind of a cool thing. Travel time itself is not always a bad thing. I don't know about you guys, but I personally, I like to travel. I like traveling a lot. And that's one of the biggest impacts to myself and my family as we've gone through this pandemic situation is the restriction on travel. A couple of years ago, Deb and I bought a very nice RV so that we could travel around the country. And last year we didn't get to use it much at all. A real disadvantage to this. However, speaking of travel, one of the things I'd like to share with you, just as kind of a sidebar, is what was our best vacation ever. This was back in 2001. Myself and my wife, you see Deb here, and my son Tom, he was 10 at the time, 2 dogs in our conversion van. And we took off from East Haddam, Connecticut, and just drove across the country. And this is the trek that we took. Started out in Connecticut and drove across the southern route, following Interstate 40 a lot of the ways. But we got to see lots and lots of things. Drove through the St. Louis Archway, saw the federal building bombing memorial in Oklahoma, very moving. Drove through and climbed down into the crater of a volcano, a dormant volcano in New Mexico. Went to the Grand Canyon for a third time. Saw the Boulder Dam. Drove up the Pacific Coast Highway in California definitely has to be on your bucket list. One of the most beautiful drives I've ever been on in my life. I went to Seattle to see the Space Needle and the world famous farmers market that's there, and travel on their metro. Drove through Beartooth Pass, which is something that I never heard about before. One of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in the country. Went to Devil's Tower in Wyoming. We camped at the bottom of Devil's Tower. How cool is that? Got pictures of our RV with the Devil's Tower looming up behind us. Badlands in South Dakota. Went to on the way home. Stopped in Sandusky, Ohio, the roller coaster capital of the world, Cedar Point Amusement Park, and rode every one of their 14 at the time roller coasters, and then came back home. This was 5 weeks. We covered 11,000 miles, touched on 38 states. To this day, still the best vacation I've ever had in my life, and I can't wait to do it again. However, as we've been discussing the current pandemic situation, although things are easing up, vaccinations are happening, states are reopening, the quarantining restrictions have been eased or lifted in many of the states, at least in the lower 48, as we stand today. So hopefully we'll be able to start traveling again pretty soon. But in the meantime, and here's where it wraps back into Toastmasters, one of the best things about the fact that we've all been forced online, all of our clubs, is that it's not just us. All of the clubs, pretty much worldwide, are currently meeting online. What that means to you, fellow Toastmasters, is that you can literally visit any club you want to around the world. It's really easy to do. There's no travel costs involved. You can go visit a club in San Francisco, California tomorrow night if you'd like, or Alaska, or Hawaii, or Singapore, or Abu Dhabi. You can literally go to a Toastmasters meeting anywhere in the world that you'd like. So, with my penchant for travel, especially domestic travel, back in December, I started a virtual cross-country tour of Toastmasters clubs. And what I'm going to take the rest of my time today is to show you how I did that, encourage all of you to take advantage of this current pandemic situation and start visiting some clubs and making new Toastmasters friends. Now, you might wonder, why would I want to do this? That's a fair question. You need to understand what's in it for you. So here are the things that I think that you can think about with regards to that. First is make new Toastmasters friends. We're all very social people, especially in Toastmasters, whether you're an introvert, extrovert, friendly, a grump like myself and Steve. The thing is that we all like meeting additional people and new Toastmasters friends. And you have something in common with every one of these people. We're all doing Toastmasters. So you have items to talk about, things to talk about. So making new friends, that's one of the best advantages to this. One of the best things that you can take advantage of. Another one is more opportunities to practice communication and leadership skills. That was one of the things that you folks pointed out in the chat when I asked what were the advantages. Now, why is it important to practice communication and leadership skills online? Well, because that's the way business is doing business these days. Even before the pandemic, I've been working as a project manager for 42 years, sorry. And in the last 5 or 6 years, I don't have in-person meetings anymore. I can't. My project teams are scattered all over the country, sometimes all over the world. We have no choice but to meet virtually. I don't think have not had an in-person meeting in my past 6 years working at Lincoln Financial Group. They just don't happen anymore. They're all online. So if that's where my business communications are going to be, why not practice Toastmasters there? I mean, that's what we come to Toastmasters for, is to practice communication and leadership skills. Well, if you're going to use them online, why not practice them online? It gives you that opportunity. And last but not least is, as you know, we're all in different Toastmasters clubs. And if you've been to other clubs, every Toastmasters club does things just a little bit different. Every Toastmasters club has its own character, their own tips and techniques that they use. When you go to visit other clubs, you'll find that you'll bump into ideas that you'll think are just terrific, and you'll want to bring them back to your club to make your club even better. So there's lots of reasons that this could be good for you. And so if you need to ask yourself what's in it for me, there's lots and lots of reasons. So to me, this is truly, truly a virtual silver lining. Again, we all want to get back to in-person meetings, but while we are meeting virtually, take advantage of this. It's very easy to do. Now, how easy is it to do? I've got a 5-step process. 6 steps, sorry, and I'm going to share that with you right now. And we're actually going to do some of this this morning. First, find a club. Now, how would you do that? Well, there's a handy dandy find a club tool right on the Toastmasters International website. Would be surprised if you haven't at least looked at it once or twice, looking for clubs in our own district, but you can find a club anywhere in the world doing that. We're going to go through that in a minute or two. Make a contact with the club, wait for a response, and once you're invited to visit the club, offer to take on a role. Get engaged with the club more than just sitting there as an audience member. Keep a scrapbook. When you go on vacation, you take pictures, and what do? You put them in a scrapbook, right? Well, as I'm doing my Toastmasters cross-country tour, I'm keeping a scrapbook, and I'll show you what that looks like. Last but not least, stay in touch. Making new friends doesn't help unless you leverage those new acquaintances somewhere along the way. So I've stayed in touch with all of the folks that I've contacted at these various clubs, and I have kind of a network there. And opportunities come up that wouldn't otherwise have come up. I've served as a judge or functionary in contests all around the country. I was invited to a special annual humorous speech event that's done in Hawaii every year. Who knew? This thing is really big. It's world known. I never heard of it before. And I was invited to attend that because of this network that I've developed. So lots of opportunities, and the opportunities multiply on themselves. So let's actually go through this and see what it looks like. Okay, I have to shift screens. Okay, Steve, are you seeing the Toastmasters International website? Steve, you're on mute.
Yeah, I can see it all right.
Okay, great. All right. So here's where we start, folks. I'm sure you're familiar with this website because we're all on Pathways today, and this is how you get there. So I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but there's a button up here that says Find a Club. It's a really neat tool, so let's actually make some use of it. When it first comes up, it's showing you clubs in and around the area where the Toastmasters International home base is. All you need to do to find a club, let's say, just for example, I want to visit Alaska. So let's pick a city in Alaska. Let's say Anchorage, just for example. Let's try that out. You'll notice that as you start keying in to the search box, it will automatically uses Ajax technology to automatically pull up things that match what you've keyed in so far. So you don't even have to key in the whole thing. So I want to visit Anchorage. And as soon as you click that, it does the search. And here's Anchorage, Alaska, shows it to you on a map. And here's a bunch of clubs in and around the Anchorage area. There's about a dozen of them. Very cool. So the next thing that you might want to do is figure out, okay, out of all of these clubs, which is the one that I want to attend? Well, you might have a desire to stick with a particular time of day. So let's say, for example, you'd like to meet at lunchtime. So this view here shows you each club's name, where they're located, and also gives you what time they meet. Now, one thing that I'll warn you about here, these times are in current time for that area. So if you're looking somewhere outside of the Eastern time zone, you've got to make an adjustment. So, for example, 11:30 a.m. in Anchorage. Anchorage is 4 hours away from us. This would actually be 3:30 a.m. 3:30. So 11:30 plus 4 that'd be 3:30 p.m. in our time. And the other thing that I look for is I look for clubs with interesting names. That's just a quirk. It's something that I do. I mean, another reason that you might pick a particular club is maybe you already have a contact that's in the area and they belong to a club. So you might want to visit their specific club, and that's okay too. But I'll typically scan through here and I'll look for something that, here's one that's interesting. Untwisted Tongues. What a neat name for a Toastmasters club. Now they meet in Anchorage and they start at 12:05 p.m. So that's 4:05 p.m. my time. That looks like an interesting one. So if you click on that, it'll bring you to more information about the club. So here's the information about Untwisted Tongues Toastmasters. Now, there's a built-in contact club link here. I don't suggest that you use that. When you use that, it brings up this contact form, but it makes it sound, when this gets to the Toastmasters Club, it makes it sound like you want to join. And that's really probably not what you're looking to do. So I don't suggest you use this one. However, most of the clubs will have a website. And if you visit their website, let's do that. Here's the Untwisted Tongues website. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you so you can see it. Most Toastmasters clubs use the Free Toast host service for their website. Some don't, but most of them do. And a handy feature of the standard feature of the Free Toast host website is this Contact Us feature. So that's what I suggest that you use. And all you got to do is click that, and you'll have this contact form. Put in your name, telephone number, and wants an email address. And then it gives you the opportunity with regards to how did you hear about us. I'll just put in FAQ, find a club. And introduce yourself and tell them what it is that you're looking for, why you'd like it to visit. And that's it. Thankfully, it's got a spell checker in there. My spelling is horrible. And then you submit, and your message has been sent. And now the next thing that you do is you wait for a response. as I mentioned previously. And once you get the response, then you can answer back. You now establish a contact, and you can talk about, okay, what role might you play during the course of the meeting? You might even present a speech. One of the things that I've been doing is going around to various clubs presenting the virtual silver lining speech. Of course, it's just a thumbnail version of it because I only have 5 to 7 minutes. Sometimes I take 10. But I've been going around the country to clubs presenting this, encouraging folks to take advantage of this, what could be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to visit clubs anywhere within the world at no cost. And it's really that simple. So I'm going to ask you folks if you would, who would like to go visit someplace? If you can put your name and your email address in the chat box, and let's actually do one of these. Okay, let's see. Jackie Kessler. Nope, she lost. Okay, I would. Okay, Janice Demick. Let's go with Janice. So, Janice, what state or city would you like to visit? Maine. Okay, let's check out Maine. Okay, so let me go back to here. Okay, now I noticed this before. For some reason, it said that it's unable to find any clubs in Maine when I just key in Maine, United States. Let me try Portland. If there's anybody in Portland. Okay, so here we have some clubs in Portland: Blueberry Hill Club, Portland Harborside, and Maine Fab. So, Jackie, out of those, which of those clubs would you like to go visit? Blueberry Hill. That's the one I would have gone with because I love blueberries. So let's go to Blueberry Hill. And now notice their meeting times are first and third Wednesdays at 5:15 p.m. So they're in our same time zone. So it'll be the same time for you to go visit that meeting. So we'll go to the contact us form. Oh, I'm sorry, was it Jackie or Janice? Who am I working on here? I forgot. Let me go back and look.
It's Janice.
Janice, thanks. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to skip the telephone, Janice. I'll just put in your email. Okay. So, Janice, you should be hearing from the Blueberry Hill Club within the next couple of days. So you're on your start. How about anybody else? Would anybody else like to go visit a club? Let me go back at the chat and see who's there. Oh, Nancy Peck says she has a friend in Blueberry Hill Club. Cool. So, Janice, when you go visit Blueberry Hill, tell them Nancy Cook said hi. Somebody else like to visit a club? Nancy, Janice said when she goes to visit, you can go with her. Okay, Russ Kenny. So, Russ, give me your key in your email address and what city and state you would like to visit. Or anybody else. We'll do the first one that pops into the window. We've got about 9 minutes left. Okay. Teos, New Mexico. Very cool. All right, Russ, let's go take a look at Teos, New Mexico. That is one of the towns that we drove through the cross-country trip I mentioned that I took in 2001. Fascinating place. We found a very, very nice Vietnam memorial there. Okay, so let's go back to find the club. And see what we can find in Taos, New Mexico. It doesn't look like there are any clubs in Taos, so let's just try New Mexico and see if we can find something close. Okay, it's not finding anything in New Mexico for some reason. All right, Russ, can you give me another one to try? Nancy Peck says that Taos also has a very nice ski area. One of the interesting things when we were driving through New Mexico is we could see the mountain ranges off in the distance in multiple directions. And in the middle of June and July, they had snow caps still on the mountains. Okay. Yep. Russ suggests broadening the search. Want me to give that a try? Let's try 100 miles. Okay, so here are a bunch. Alsleta, Eagle Chatter, Valencia Voices, and East Mountain Toasters. Out of those three, Russell, which one would you like to go visit? Russ, put it in the chat, please. Which of those three clubs you'd like to visit? Okay. Russ said the first one. Okay. So Valencia Voices. Let's go. Let's send Russ to Valencia Voices. Okay, Russell. Oh, looks like I fat fingered this. Yep. Okay, it still doesn't like RBK 50. RBK 57,000 at rocketmail.com. Nope, it still doesn't like it. RBK 57,000. RBK 57,000. rocketmail.com. I don't see any difference here. I'll tell you what, rather than hanging everybody up, Russell, I will finish this after the session because we're going to be ending in just a couple minutes. So I'm going to leave you folks with something. And again, this information will all be posted in the handouts so that you can go grab it after the meeting. And I'm going to leave you with this. Just a real quick summary of the 6-step process. Okay, again, find a club using the Toastmasters International Find a Club tool. Make contact, wait for a response. Once invited, offer to take a role. Don't forget to keep a scrapbook. I didn't get to show you that today. We're running out of time, but I will put my copy of the scrapbook and a template for you in the handouts folder, so you'll be able to grab that. And this PowerPoint will be in there as well. And stay in touch with any contacts that you meet. So, fellow Toastmasters, are you ready to join me on the road? I hope I've encouraged some sense of a desire to travel in you today. And please do make some contacts out there at Toastmasters clubs. And if you feel up to it, let me know that you've done it. I would really appreciate knowing that some of you are also taking advantage of this opportunity. I'm going to look at the chat in the last 2 minutes that we have here to see if there are any questions anybody might have. Elizabeth Keeling says she's ready to go. So is Janice Demick. Patty Walter posted the link to the evaluation for these sessions. Please be brutal. I want to get better at this. Okay, it doesn't look like there are any additional questions. So, folks, I hope that you've enjoyed this today. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. We've got great technical sessions coming up and another keynote after lunchtime today. And don't forget the Hall of Fame that's going to be presented during the lunch hour. Hope that you all have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you at some of the other sessions later on. We'll be dragged back into the main room in a couple minutes, I think.
Yeah, it'll be right at 10 o'clock. Yeah. Thank you, Norm. Great job on your presentation. There's our countdown. See you all.
Thanks, everybody.